Hey everyone, welcome to episode 6 of my Platinum Hardcore Randomizer. We've got a big episode today, so hang on. Last episode, I got both my 5th and 6th gym badge, with a little Team Galactic shenanigans in between. Today, we're going to start off by going to the library. Now, Cynthia mentioned it last episode, and now Professor Rowan wants to discuss something with Garrett and myself there. We are given the task to get data on the 3 Mirage Pokemon that inhabit the 3 lakes of Sinnoh. Since there's Garrett, Lucas, and myself, we decide to investigate a lake each. I'm assigned Lake Valor, and just as we were wrapping up, this happens. Looking at the TV, the explosion happened at Lake Valor. Yay, lucky me! I make haste, only to find that the water from the lake is completely gone. There's nothing but Magikarps flopping all over the place, and Team Galactic is cleaning up the mess that they're clearly responsible for. Going into the cavern in the middle of the lake, Azelf has been taken away, and all that's left is the 3rd and final commander of Team Galactic, Saturn. Saturn leads with Golbat, and I lead with Teflo. Teflo outspeeds and one-shots with a Psychic. Saturn brings out his Bronzor, and I switch into Cadvan. Cadvan also gets a one-shot with a Lava Plume, and that leaves Saturn's last Pokemon, a Toxicroak. Toxicroak lands a Mud Bomb that deals almost 50% to Cadvan, and Earth Power barely misses out on the kill, and unfortunately I have to switch or I risk a crit killing Cadvan. So I switch into RJBD on a feint attack. We're risking another crit again, but unfortunately RJBD is not that much useful after this, so I decide to risk a crit on him. And we don't get punished, and RJBD gets the KO with a Psybeam. Good job. Saturn leaves, and it's clear that Team Galactic are also after the 3 Mirage Pokemon. Lake Verity is the closest, so I head over there to help Professor Rowan and Lucas. I charge through the grunts, and I take on Commander Mars, who is eager to get her revenge on me after her embarrassing defeat at the Valley Windworks. Like against Saturn, Teflo knocks out her Golbat. Purugly immediately comes out next, so I switch into Menjet Jafo on a resisted Fake-Out. We resist every one of Purugly's attacks, so 2 discharges gets the knockout, and 1 more discharge gets the one-shot on her Bronzor. You really should evolve that thing. Unfortunately, we are too late, as Mesprit has been taken as well. Fearing that Garrett is more than likely in trouble, I decide to make the trip to Lake Acuity, but it's going to be cold. I must go up the northest part of Sinnoh to Snow Point City. I gotta go through routes 216 and 217 to get there. And it's not going to be easy, because as soon as I take my first steps through the snow, I'm punished for being too careless. While fighting Ace Trainer Maria, Luis Senja takes out her Golduck with a Petal Dance. But because I didn't look up her team, I failed to anticipate the Rapidash that's in the back. Because I'm locked into Petal Dance, I can't switch out. Luis Senja gets cooked by a single Fire Blast. RIP, man. Belial is able to finish the rest of the battle with no problems. The rest of routes 216 and 217 go really well actually. I catch a Gulpin on 216 named God Usopp, a Murkrow on 217 named Mass Dark, and I get a Growlithe named Bansamir at the lakefront. I can't actually reach the lake yet. I'm gonna need a 7th gym badge to be able to use the HM Rock Climb to get there. Luckily, the 7th gym is right next door at Snow Point City, and there's really nothing to do at the city. I get my team to the level cap of 44, go through the gym trial, and it's time to fight the Ice Gym leader Candace. She leads with her Sneasel, and I lead with Matt Pick. Matt tanks a feint attack, and gets a crit with a Lava Plume for a KO. Candace brings out her Piloswine. I decide to protect for a turn to get some leftovers recovery. We're baiting Earthquake. So I pivot into Gotcha Girl, who's immune, but now she's baiting an Avalanche, so I switch into Kingler, who's going to resist. Matthew the Kingler gets the 2-hit KO with a Surf, and Piloswine just sets up a Hail during those 2 turns. Up next is Abomasnow. I switch into Andres on a resisted Woodhammer. Next turn he outspeeds and gets to KO with a Flamethrower. Lastly is Candace's ace Frostlass. This Pokemon is normally a menace because it has Snow Cloak, which means she gets an evasion boost into Hail, plus it has Double Team to further boost its evasion. My solution is Magnezone. Manjet Jafo has the move Magnet Bomb, which is a steel move that never misses. All Frostlass is able to do is hit us with a resisted Shadow Ball, and Manjet Jafo gets the knockout with 2 Magnet Bombs, netting us the 7th Gym Badge. I can now use Rock Climb to get to Garrett, but as usual, I'm too late. Not only has Jupiter taken Uxie, but she has beaten Garrett, calling him weak. We try to help Garrett up. He reassures me that he'll be fine and is going to get stronger. Before I can go take the fight to Team Galactic, I decide to get one more encounter at the lake, and I catch Orange Remy the Skorupi. To further prepare my assault, I evolve Mass Dark into Honchkrow. I fly back to Veilstone City, and I invade the Galactic HQ. Going deeper into the HQ is not an issue, and I get to a conference room where I watch Cyrus give a speech. To summarize, he's going to capture the legendary Pokemon to create a new perfect world, because our current world is awful and incomplete. I go confront him about Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf, and he challenges me to a battle. Collins takes out his Sneasel, and Cyrus brings out his newly evolved Crobat. Snoop Dogg is unfortunately not able to take out the Crobat, and I'm forced to bring in Orlando, who gets confused. Orlando further hurts himself, and Crobat hits a very nasty Poison Fang, but gets paralyzed with our Static. With little options, I'm forced to have Orlando fight through the confusion, which he does, and gets to KO with a Shockwave. Cyrus brings out his last, but also newly evolved Honchkrow. I switch into Adrian, but Honchkrow's Drill Pack does too much damage. I switch into Mass Dark, who unfortunately can't survive another Drill Peck either. I make the tough call to sacrifice Snoop Dogg, whose death allows me to safely bring in Collins, but the deaths do not stop here. Collins can outspeed, but his Flamethrower does not get to 2 shots. So I'm forced to leave him in as he does as much damage as he can before Honchkrow drops his HP to 0. Orlando comes out again to outspeed and get the kill on Honchkrow. This finishes the battle. Cyrus leaves, which allows me to free the Mirage Pokemon. I wish the deaths would stop here, but unfortunately we have another fight with Saturn, as he's not just going to let us let the legendary Pokemon go freely. I also didn't go back to the Pokemon Center to restock on my team, so I'm still fighting with my remaining 4 Pokemon. Orlando kills his Golbat, and Adrian deals with the Bronzor. Adrian gets his Toxic Croak into yellow before I try to save him by switching into Mass Dark. I really thought Mass Dark would be faster, but I was wrong, and I get punished as he dies to a Brick Break. Orlando comes back out, and just like with Cyrus's Honchkrow, has to finish off Saturn's Toxic Croak. I am able to free Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf, and it's time to march to the peak of Mount Coronet to confront Cyrus. I don't like how my carelessness cost me 3 more members, but the only way I can make it right is to beat Cyrus and stop his plans. My starter Ashwell, who wants payback for their fallen comrades, evolves into Poliwrath. I assemble a new team and trek up the snowy mountain, fighting a gauntlet of galactic grunts along the way. Finally, we reach the top, Spear Pillar. Mars and Jupiter try to get the jump on me, but Garrett comes to the rescue to make this battle a 2-on-2. Mars and Jupiter lead with a Bronzor each, and I lead with Cadvan. Garrett leads with their Munchlax. Honestly, Munchlax is pretty useless, so I'm really not sorry for hitting it with a Lava Plume. The Bronzors set up a screens each for their turns. Next turn, another Lava Plume gets the double knockout, as Munchlax has just been setting up stockpiles. Purugly and Skuntank come out next. I decide to go for Protect, which was the right call as Cadvan gets double targeted. This allows Munchlax to heal with a Swallow. Next turn, Munchlax actually gets double teamed next and gets KO'd. This allows Cadvan to go for a Lava Plume though, and we get the double burn. Nice. Garrett brings out a Staraptor next, and I go for another Protect next turn, and that is another good call, as Purugly and Skuntank are trying to double target me again. I decide to switch into Matpick because he's a little more physically bulky, and Staraptor knocks out the Skuntank. Purugly actually just does pitiful damage with Slash, mainly because he's burned. Jupiter sends out her last Pokemon, which is a Golbat, and Staraptor completely obliterates Purugly with a close combat. Golbat wastes our time by using a Mean Look, and Matt does respectable damage with an Ancient Power. Mars has one last Pokemon left, and it's a Golbat as well. Staraptor knocks out Jupiter's Golbat, as Matt comes through with a critical hit Ancient Power, winning us this tag battle. However, Mars and Jupiter were just wasting enough time for Cyrus to summon the legendary Pokemon Palkia and Dialga. Cyrus is ready to create his perfect world with the Pokemon of Space and Time. However, an unexpected Giratina appears in front of Cyrus and drags him into the Distortion world. Cynthia and I jump in to follow after Cyrus. The Distortion world is really just a giant puzzle until you reach the very bottom, so I'm not going to explain the full details of it. After spending a good 15 to 20 minutes, I reach the bottom to have our final battle with Cyrus. Cyrus leads with Houndoom, and I lead with Cadvan. Houndoom lands a nasty Dark Pulse that gets to flinch. Fortunately, our held Citrus Berry means Cadvan only dies to a crit. We take our chances. Dark Pulse does not crit, and it does not flinch. Cadvan hits an Earth Power that puts Houndoom in the red. I switch into Kingpin, who should outspeed, but Cyrus, or the AI, makes a crazy prediction and actually switches into Gyarados. You don't see that too often. I switch into Ashwell on the expected Waterfall. Gyarados' Earthquake does okay damage, and Ashwell misses a Hypnosis. I give it another try, and Hypnosis hits. I switch into Orlando on our free turn of sleep. Next turn, Orlando gets to one-shot with a Thunderbolt. Cyrus brings out Weavile, and I switch into Ashwell on a Fake Out. Weavile hits with a resisted Ice Punch, and Ashwell gets another KO with a Wake Up Slap. Cyrus sends out Crobat, and I switch into Manjet. Crobat hits us with a resisted Air Slash, and we use Thunder Wave to set up our sweep. I switch back into Orlando, who proceeds to knock out both Crobats and Honchkrow. Houndoom comes out last, and after Cyrus heals with a Hyper Potion, I think we're just out of range for Orlando to get the kill with a Thunderbolt. But that's no problem. I switch into Kingpin, who outspeeds, and gets the knockout with a close combat, defeating Cyrus. Now next is the encounter with Giratina, and instead of running away, I decided to have him as an extra, boss fight. We have some close calls with Giratina's Shadow Force, but once Manjet gets to paralyze, both he and Cadvan were able to chip away at Giratina's health until it drops to 0. We are finally done with Team Galactic and the Distortion World. To celebrate my victory against Team Galactic, I catch a Crocodile that I name Banan, and I start prepping for my 8th gym battle by evolving Orange Remy into Drapion. I catch Monica the Spinda at Lake Valor, Benji the Mantine on Route 222, and Trey the Piplup at Sunny Shore City. Just like Snowpoint City, there's really nothing left to do except get our final gym badge. The last gym leader, Volkner, uses electric Pokemon, and he leads with a Jolteon. I lead with Orange Remy. We spend 2 turns setting up the Toxic Spikes. Jolteon does serious damage with a Charge Beam, but Drapion has Battle Armor, so we can't be critted. I switch into Cadvan, who's immune to electric moves, and gets to KO with an Earthquake. Volkner sends out Raichu, and gets poisoned by the Toxic Spikes. I keep Cadvan in, who tanks a Focus Blast, and gets another KO with an Earthquake. Volkner sends out his Ace, which is an Electivire. I go for Protect to deal poison damage. I'm scared of Electivire's Giga Impact, but he doesn't seem to go for it. But being cautious, I alternate switching between Eric the Fearow and Cadvan. This baits, Eric baits Thunder Punches, and Cadvan's immune to them. So I keep this switching back and forth until Electivire goes down to poison damage. Lastly is his Luxray, and after Cadvan takes a crunch, he claps back with an Earthquake to not only win us the gym battle, but our 8th and final gym badge. All that's left is the Pokemon League. This was a long episode, so thank you for anyone who stuck it out to the end. Tune in for next episode as I take on Victory Road and hopefully the Elite Four.